Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Let's Talk About Texas podcast. This is episode 1 of a new podcast I'm starting. I am your host, and today we're going to be talking about the New Orlean Greys and our topic of regiment histories in the Texas Revolution. The New Orlean Greys was made up of two companies of the United States Volunteers that served together in the Texas Revolution. They were organized at a meeting held in the Grand Coffee Room of Banks Arcade in New Orleans on the evening of October 13, 1835. The arcade owner, Thomas Banks, was a supporter of Texas independence, and his red brick three-story building on Magazine Street between Natchez and Graver Streets was often used for meetings in the service of Texas independence. Nacogdoches man Nicholas Adolphus Stern was present at this meeting and offered weapons to the first 50 men who would volunteer for Texas. By the evening's end, nearly 120 men appear to have been recruited, but no original muster roll exists, so we're not exactly sure on those numbers. Two companies were formed, the first under Captain Thomas H. Breese, and the second under Captain Robert C. Morris. Weapons and equipment were provided, probably from the stores of the Washington Guards, whose armory was located on the second floor of the arcade. Herman V. Ehrenberg, who joined Breese's company, indicates that the uniforms were gray for service on the prairie. Ebenezer Heath, a member of Morris's company, stated that the color of our uniform was a gray jacket and pants with a sealskin cap. Indians around Nacogdoches mistook the Greys for United States regulars because their uniforms matching the United States so much. The description seemed to suggest that both companies wore the 1820s pattern United States fatigue jacket in either the M1825 or M1833 United States forage cap. The Greys' arms were described as rifles, pistols, swords, and large knives. Morris's company possibly carried Kentucky long rifles, and Breese's men were issued the United States percussion cap pattern muskets. The two companies left New Orleans within 2 days of each other. Breese took an overland route up to the Mississippi and Red Rivers aboard the steamer Washita. His company disembarked at Alexandria, and then avoiding Fort Jessup followed the old Spanish trail to its crossing into Texas at Gaines Ferry. Between the ferry and San Augustine, a delegation of local women greeted the company and presented it with a blue silk banner that bore the words, "First Company of Texan Volunteers from New Orleans." The company was welcomed with a public dinner at San Augustine. At Nacogdoches, also, the Greys were treated to a dinner of roasted bear and champagne. Here, some 2/3 of the company were given horses before proceeding to San Antonio de Bayard. Morris's 68-man company sailed from New Orleans and arrived at Velasco, Texas on October 22, 1835. There, elections were held for company officers, and Morris was reconfirmed as captain. William Gordon Cook of Virginia became second officer. Morris's company proceeded to Brazoria by steamship and marched inland to Victoria, where some of the men were issued horses. The rest secured mounts at Presidio La Bahia and Goliad. The company then proceeded to San Antonio to join the Texas Army. They arrived before Breese's company. In San Antonio, Morris was appointed major and assumed command of a division made up of both companies of Greys. Cook assumed command of Morris's old company, and then Cook noted that 70 men were in his company and 50 were in Breese's. The Greys took an active part in the siege of Bayard, in which Breese's company apparently suffered 1 kill and 2 wounded. Cook's company suffered 6 wounded. After the capture of Bayard, both companies underwent a series of organizational changes as a result of the Matamoros expedition of 1835 through 1836. All but 22 members of Breese's company and one of Cook's company left San Antonio under Francis White Johnson and James Grant. Those who remained at San Antonio were under the command of Captain John James Ball. When Ball became garrison adjutant, William Blaseby took command of the company, all members of which died later in the Battle of the Alamo. The company standard was among one of the flags captured by the Mexicans in the Battle of the Alamo and is now property of the National Historical Museum in Mexico City. The Greys who went south with Grant and Johnson became members of either the San Antonio Greys under Cook or the Mobile Greys under Captain David N. Burke. After Cook's departure with Sam Houston in January 1836, his company was commanded by Samuel O. Pettis, though a number of the Greys continued with Grant, including both Morris and Breese. Most chose to become part of the garrison at Goliad under Colonel James W. Fannin Jr. Nathaniel R. Brister of the Greys was promoted to regimental adjutant when Fannin reorganized his command in February. Both Morris and Pettis were killed with Grant. 19 members of Cook's old company were killed in the Goliad massacre. 4 members of the Greys escaped from the massacre, including William L. Hunter and Herman Ehrenberg. 3, including Joseph H. Spahn, was spared. Although the Texan disaster at the Alamo and Goliad destroyed the New Orleans Greys as a military unit, at least 7 Greys were present at the Battle of the Alamo, including William Cook, the only senior officer of the Greys to survive the Texas Revolution. Thus, the Grays are one of the few volunteer units to be able to claim Behar, the Alamo, San Patricio, Refugio, Toledo, Goliad, and San Jacinto as battle honors. Now that's it about the New Orleans Grays. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Next week, Saturday, we will have another podcast, episode 2, but about one of the most famous regiments of the Texas Revolution, and you may have heard about them, but it is the Texas Rangers. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you all next time.